Well, hello and welcome to the Sneak Peek, where we go over what you need to know from the South Carolina standards to make sure that you're ready for the EOC and for the live lesson that's coming up. And boy, do we have a great live lesson for you. Lots of fun, primary sources, video clips, all from a very important time. One of my favorite times in U.S. history, civil rights. That's right. Where people, citizens, rise up and fight for their rights. And we went over a little bit last week about why it was during this time that it started, and the reason it was. That's right, World War II. I mean, there's lots of reasons, but when African Americans came back from World War II, and they were, brave soldiers, they come back and they were still mistreated, and they still were not given the rights that are their rights as citizens. They're going to start, working towards getting those rights. And as we know, it's called the Civil Rights Movement. So, from the text. The strategy of the Civil Rights Movement had its roots in early 20th century and the development of organizations such as the NAACP, that established the judicial precedents that eventually led to the Brown decision, and in the successful application of the strategy of nonviolent civil disobedience by Gandhi in India, nonviolence. It wasn't a fight with guns trying to get their rights. They were trying to get their rights through nonviolent ways, following Gandhi. It was more of the African Americans coming together and just standing peacefully, such as, going to lunch counters and sitting down saying, no, we should be able to right to sit anywhere we want. You shouldn't be able to refuse service because of the color of our skin, and just sitting there peacefully. And then people would come and try to harass them and, pour milk on them and try to push them out of the seats. And the reason they did this was that it showed the Americans how horrible the treatment was, because now in the 1950s, another thing that come out and made this all possible is that camera crews are everywhere, national TV crews are everywhere. Newspapers are coming down from the north, they're taking pictures of people being mistreated, and therefore, when you have pictures of, people who are just peacefully protesting for their rights getting sprayed down with fire hoses and having dogs sicked on them, it's really going to paint a powerful picture, and it's really going to galvanize those who before just ignored this situation. It's going to galvanize them and get them together and try to help them fight for African American rights. And it's going to lead, it's not going to be done on the battlefield. It's not going to be done with people getting murdered. It's going to be, we're fighting for these rights to get the lawmakers to change and to get those Civil Rights Act. Now, the Civil Rights Movement is an example of the importance of leadership. Even though you might know MLK, you might not understand the complexity as his role in the movement's organizer and spokespersons. Students should understand that the non-violent direct action campaign of the Civil Rights Movement was successful in getting presidential support and the support of the majority of the voting public in the early 1960s. The extent to which Presidents Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon were all advocates of the Civil Rights Movement. The specific pieces of legislation that were passed and how they addressed discrimination, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1968. Like I was saying, it's going to be citizens, African American citizens, their white allies coming together, marching, sit-ins, conversations, getting on TV. It's going to be all of this to get enough people on their side to get Washington, D.C., to get the federal government to change the laws. And that's what the Civil Rights Movement was about. We're going to go into a lot more of this in live lesson. I try to keep these short. We're already out at 5 minutes almost. So once again, please stop by live lesson. It's Tuesdays at 10. You don't want to miss it. We're really going to focus in on American citizens coming together, fighting for not fighting with guns, not taking over federal things, but just peacefully protesting and just saying, hey, if you just take a second to look at what's going on, you got to realize this is wrong. And changing America and things that we're still dealing with today. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you Tuesdays at 10. Tuesdays at 2.